So we begin with Andrew walking down the street, when out of the corner of his eyes, he sees an unusual amount of lizards going down into the sewer. He turned to his left, which is when he stumbled on a newspaper mentioning rumors of a lizard in the sewers, and that was all he needed. It's a few moments later and we see Peter pull up to the sewers and set up camp, sending a whole bunch of webs in every direction, making a literal spider web, whilst he had Professor Connors in his lab moving like Epstein, experimenting around with a whole bunch of vials before settling on one and stabbing himself with it, turning him into the lizard. And this is when we go back to Andrew, who was playing Bubble Blast on his phone, when a random string started moving, grabbing his attention. He got up and went to stop it, when not even a few seconds later it started moving and a whole bunch more started moving along with them. And just look at this nigga. He saw every string moving and thought he was about to get dope. They were about to hit him with that JJK special, but it turned out that the strings that were moving were just the lizards from before. They met up in the middle and started heading in one singular direction, which was already a bad sign. But Peter ignored it, following them down into the sewer, but he didn't even get halfway through the tunnel when the lizard pounced on him, sending them bouncing off the webs. And the way the lizard started moving was making me mad uncomfortable, because with his head fully around Peter's neck, he proceeded to scratch this nigga's chest before going for his face, trying to unmask him. But this is the one thing you can't do to superheroes: getting hit with the mean right, sending them falling down into the sewer. They went on to wrestle in the water, but at this point Peter had had enough. You have the lizard choking him, trying to seduce him as if he didn't already have a bad bitch at home, and now he's hugged up against him. Peter's probably feeling a whole bunch of lizard meat and he's not down for this. So with this in mind, Peter said enough is enough, kicking him off and swimming away whilst he had the lizard full court pressing. But Peter managed to get away by bursting through this hole, ending the fight. He ended up getting away and the lizard ended up finding out his true identity. So now it's a few days later and Peter's forgotten all about his fight with the lizard. But for the lizard, he wanted a rematch, pulling up to Peter's school through the sewers before bursting through the door and calling Peter out for this ISO. So the fight begins with Peter running at the lizard and webbing his leg, sending him falling to the floor, before jumping on his back and going to hit him, just to get grabbed and thrown to the floor. The lizard then grabbed Peter and smashed him into the lockers, before throwing him away into the science room. And this is when the lizard came in and stomped on his arm with his velociraptor looking ass feet, and went to swipe at Peter's head and miss it. How do you even miss this shit, man? Peter tried to kick him and missed, which is when he threw the chair at his face, but the lizard quite simply ate that shit and proceeded to taunt him.
Nowhere to hide, Peter.
Before going for his face again, and this is when Peter saw his bag in the distance and grabbed it while simultaneously getting thrown into this wall. And this is when the lizard went on to make a smoke bomb and throw it at Peter in the hole, before going on about how he can save all of us by turning us into lizards. Peter then jumps out of the hole and webs these two lights into his face, blinding him. And when he looked up again, Peter was nowhere to be seen. He was looking left to right, when the whole time Peter was just chilling on the ceiling. Peter then jumped onto him and started trying to blind him with his webs for whatever reason.
Come on, man, what the fuck is you doing, cuz?
The lizard ended up slamming him into this locker and went to swipe at him again and missed. They started crawling all over the wall before falling to the ground. And this is when Peter started webbing his hand to the locker. But all the lizard had to do was rip his hand off, and he started using the locker as a makeshift shank, making Peter have to dodge backwards, which is when Peter slid through his legs and webbed his face, trying to shut him up. But in retaliation, the lizard decided to throw his fat ass tail on him. And this is when he started swinging Peter back and forth against the walls, before throwing him across the hallway. The lizard then went on to walk him down, and when Peter went in for the offense, he palmed him by the face and smashed him into this wall. And this is when Gwen came in with the save, smacking the lizard as a distraction for Peter to come in and start webbing him up like a cocoon. And just watch this shit real quick. This nigga is just like me! But the fight simply ends with Peter and Lizard boxing it out through the library, and as you can guess, Peter was getting cooked. And if I'm being honest, the Lizard was low-key piecing Peter up in both fights. How is this nigga losing this bad? It's really 2-0 right now. 2 to the Lizard, 0 to Spider-Man. This nigga's selling. Is there really a way he could make a comeback? I don't believe it, but we'll have to find out next time.